And
All right. Hey, Craig,
we're
how you doing?
live on Facebook.
I got Craig off mute. Nope, not Craig off mute. Tom, well, Michael, I can see your shiny face. Michael Essery, how are you doing? Too many Michaels.
You don't have to call me Michael. You can call me something else.
Well, okay, but I'm gonna be polite on this meeting, so we will save that something else for.
I'm just making the offer. You know what can I say?
So how you doing?
I'm alive and kicking still.
Nice to hear. Michael McGran, how you doing? There we go. Nice to see you.
Okay. Gary should have a two-factor, a 6-digit code coming to you.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I wonder if, oh, wait, I think it's coming through now. Hang on.
Yeah. All right. Thomas, how the heck are you? And I see kiddos back there.
We're doing pretty good. Gonna go visit my mother-in-law and go for a hike later.
Nice. Where's the hike?
Not sure yet.
All righty. You
going with the flow.
Thomas says login approved.
Okay.
Sorry?
Nope, it's the other Tom. We're on the back end. We're putting together a cool thing.
And all I have to do is click go live.
Back and forth going to make sure we've got the technology back on that side.
Hang on one second. So Tom, what you're seeing, it's going to ask you probably for a description.
Yes.
Type in, Gina teaching, negotiating, something like that, and then it should be on my regular timeline. Use the timeline, something like that. Not the business page. Then you hit go and it'll rip. All right, I'm sorry, Gina.
No, it's all good. So guys, thank you for putting up with us while we're going back through the technical stuff.
Gary, it's share on your own timeline?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Who should see this? Public?
Yep.
Okay. And then I click go live.
Yep.
Okay.
Are we official?
I think so.
Preparing to live stream.
Yes. Nice job.
Yeah.
All right, you all. So, good morning, everybody. How the heck are you now? Now that we're official and we're live. Hey, David, it's good to see you. So we're gonna chat for a few minutes. We're gonna give people some realtor time to get over here. So we're gonna do that, and then what we're gonna be doing today is a negotiation game. There's a little bit of technical stuff on the background, but the basic gist of it is I'll fill it in now and see how we're doing, and then we'll grab some more people as we're coming along and probably hit it again. But what we're gonna be doing is giving you 3 documents. Mostly there's a document A and a document B. You have to grab those documents. They'll be in the chat bar when it's time. Do not read them. Just grab those documents and get them onto your computer. And then we'll put everybody into breakout rooms. So you automatically, everybody will go into a breakout room with another person. And then in that breakout room, you're going to decide who's going to be team A and who's going to be team B. And at that point, you will open up the team A and the team B, one of the other document, whichever one lines up with you. You have a few minutes to read through the document, and then the two of you will negotiate. But it's going to tell you everything that you need in that document that you will need to negotiate. So, and then we'll do that for a few minutes, and then we'll pull you back out, and then we'll talk about how the negotiations went, what your team has decided to do, and somebody will present on this is what our team did and what we decided to do. And so that's the negotiation game. Full disclosure, and I'll go through this again. So we'll go through the instructions on it again. Full disclosure, I got the idea. My son is in aerospace, and he called me up a few weeks ago and said, I did this amazing game, and it's a negotiation game, and we did this thing with our whole class, the whole entire crew at the aerospace. They build airplane windows and other parts. And we did it, and it was very cool. And I was like, ding, ding, ding. I so want to see that. So stolen, but it's a really cool concept. And Michael Essery, who was, there he is. Michael Essery was part of the morning group actually that did it. And I don't see anybody else on here that did it that day. So I know Michael's done it, but I think it's new for everybody else. So Michael, we'll pop you. Is it possible, Tom, to make sure he's in a 3-person room?
Yes, we can do that.
Perfect. So pop you in a 3-person room and you get to just sit back and watch. I know, it's cool. It's very cool because that's
I
what
I don't get to make anybody mad that way. You just take all
that's the
the fun out of it.
plan.
Well, the easier way when we go to the next Zoom meeting is I'll
Yes.
make Michael a co-host, and then Michael can jump in and out of breakout rooms.
Michael, you were going to be like God.
You didn't know that?
Look at the
Ah.
background.
This is new to you?
But
Yes,
Gina,
Gary?
tonight, can I be on Michael Usry's and Liz Corellis's team?
On whose team? Michael, do you want to be on the God team?
Yeah, and Liz Corellis.
Yeah.
He's-
That's too much negotiating there.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I got the hardcore and the next closest thing to an attorney we got. So I'm happy.
Well,
Ah.
I know I'm not closest thing to attorney, so I must be the hardcore.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord, the thunder and lightning are coming again. So fingers crossed I don't lose any electricity or anything, but it's okay. I got backup if I do. It's just internet will go down. We do not
I
want.
passed it to you. I already had it.
Did you?
Yeah.
It's already passed through you guys? Was it a bad one?
I was over on the coastline when it came through and drove it from Daytona to Sanford.
So
It
I
wasn't,
gotta
no, it
tell you,
wasn't bad. It was just a lot of rain.
all right. So when we had a huge earthquake one time in LA, a huge earthquake in LA, we lived east of LA. Gosh, I don't know, maybe an hour east of LA, San Bernardino. But the epicenter was down in LA. And so I just kept the news on and I would watch the earthquake, the aftershocks hit on the news there. I would look and see how bad. Everyone would dive underneath their desks. I would watch how bad it was. And then you could almost count to I don't know, it was 3 or 4, and then it would hit me. It was the best early warning system ever. It was amazing. So, all right, I'm going to go back through the rules one more time. And then Tom, I think we're going to put us over into our rooms here in a minute. Yes?
Whenever you tell me to.
All right. So it's 10 minutes after, and that's enough for realtor time. So we're going to play the negotiation game. So I'll run through the rules one more time. And this is your chance to ask questions if you've got them. So we're going to play the negotiation game. And what's going to happen is we're going to load up 3 docs into, is there any way, Tom, just to load up doc A and B and that's it? Just 2 docs? Is that
Correct.
doable?
Yeah, I can do that.
Perfect, sweetie. Thank you. Thank God for Tom, because he's been working his socks off all week to test all this out and make sure that it will work. So it's a little bit new of a process for us. So I am lucky enough to get to work with a bunch of professionals. It's amazing. Anyway, so we're going to load up 2 docs. We're going to load up, that kicks somebody off. We're going to load up a doc A and a doc B. Do not read the docs. Just when they go in the chat bar, download them so you've got both of them onto your computer. Then once we've got that, we're going to give you instructions to go to a different link, and we're all going to show up in that link. And then in that link, we're going to move you guys into the rooms, the breakout rooms, and you're going to negotiate. We're going to give you 10 minutes to read through the documents. So you've got a good document. So you've got a good understanding of your document, whether you're A or B. Just do not read the other one because then the game won't work. So just read A or just read B, whichever one you and your partner decide. You'll have 10 minutes to read through the document, and then you're going to have 15 minutes to negotiate. And then we'll give you a warning, and then we'll pull you back in. And when we pull you back in, someone from each team is going to present what you've come up with, what your result is from your negotiation. So we'll put the docs in the chat bar, you'll download them on the computer, we'll give you a new link to go to, and then once you're in that link, we'll separate you out into the rooms and you guys will figure out who's A and who's B. So Rob, you're driving, you won't be able to, you're correct.
Yeah.
We'll have to pull you back out of a room again and make it so that you can just listen, because you definitely would have to read a doc in order for this to work. Okay, any questions about Rob's good? Okay, Rob, that's good. All right. Any questions about how it's going to work, how we're going to give you the 2 docs. Only don't read them, just get them on your computer. So that's step 1. Guys, got it? Give me some nods. Oh, Catherine did it also already. So Catherine knows how to do it too. So Catherine, you're going to be God too. Do I have anybody else who did it before? I don't have anybody else who did it before. It's those 2. It's Michael and Catherine. All
Are
right.
you having me do?
You're going to be God. You can just float in a room and watch the negotiations.
All right, good. Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep. You and Michael get to be God. All right. Okay. So we've got the 2 docs in. Put those docs on your computer.
No, they're not in
Download
yet.
both of them.
Where are they?
They're in the chat
Um,
box.
Not yet.
Oh, Tom Light. I have 2. It says 2. Never mind. Let me clear that out. Okay. It has no now. Okay. Now Tom's putting them in the chat box and they're going to be
Yes.
there any minute. And we'll keep on walking you through step by step, so you don't have to remember a bunch. Okay, so we got 1 doc in there. And we
Both of
got
them-
2 docs in
Both,
there.
both of them are listed. So you've got to click on both. And your computer will download. They're just 1-page docs, so they'll download quickly.
Yep.
And don't read them. Don't read them.
Don't read them.
What about God? Can he read
It's
them?
like reading the back of the book. Don't read the back of the
No,
book.
Michael, you can't read them. You already know what's in there.
Okay, so y'all tell me when you've got them and you've got them downloaded, or give me some nods.
Do the second one.
And I'll post when we move over to the Zoom meeting. The reason we've got to move over to a Zoom meeting instead of the webinar is Zoom webinar does not allow us to do breakout rooms, but Zoom meeting does. So shortly, I'm gonna put in another Zoom link in the chat. You're gonna click on that, and it'll say, "Do you want to leave the webinar and go to another meeting?" And click yes. And so it'll log you out of the webinar we're in right now, and it'll bring you over into a Zoom meeting. And I should be able to start that within 60 seconds. And we'll bring everybody back in. I'll put the document links in the chat again. So if you don't get to them before the Zoom webinar ends, and we'll touch on the instructions again.
Cool. Okay,
Let's
so
see.
document A and B downloaded for everybody?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm seeing yeses. All right, give us a link, Tom Z.
Okay. And before I do that, I am
Oh, we got
making
some
my
opinion coming over
my
too.
other me the host, because my other me is going to hang around in the webinar to make sure everybody leaves.
Perfect.
All right, so here comes so you should just you should just be able to click on the link. I also included the ID, and it's coming through in a moment.
The time we just click on the one that we receive, because I guess it'll be different pairings and different breakout rooms.
We'll
Yeah.
put you in the rooms once we
No,
get
we'll
over
put
there.
you in, we'll put you in.
But once we're there, I gotcha.
Yep.
Cannot
All you
chat
gotta
with
do now is you
everyone
gotta have the 2
during
docs,
this
and then
meeting.
we're gonna get the new link, and we're gonna go into the new link here in just 1 minute.
Oops, okay. All right,
All right. we there?
reclaim, hold on. No, I got to reclaim host.
Okay.
Okay, because it wouldn't let me post to everyone.
Oh.
Okay,
All right, there we go, guys. I'll see you
All
on the
right.
other side.
so give me a minute to open up the meeting, but you guys can click on that link anytime.
I see 2 links. Do I see 2 links?
The other one will say Zoom meeting link.
Okay.
So you know we're leaving your meeting now, right?
Yep, you are leaving my meeting.
Love you. See you. Bye.
Bye. Isn't it neat when it works?
I made it.
I feel like we just did the Star Trek. Beam me up, Scotty.
I look bad. I need a haircut. Jeez.
All
So-
right.
My trimmer went bad. All that gray hair starting to show.
Yeah.
That's a good thing about being blonde. The gray blends in.
Yep. That's
That's a
what I
good thing
was
about
told,
being
but
a girl. We just color it.
All right, and
Hey,
we
when you-
are recording, so that's good.
Perfect.
I am just
Okay.
like your Easter egg
Let's
from 3 years ago.
All right, so
Making-
Tom's gonna drop us our docs again.
Yep. And
And then he's going to drop us into our breakout rooms. So what we're going to do one more time, you're going to have doc A and B on your computer. We'll have the links in there also. You're going to go into, we're going to put you automatically into a breakout room. You're going to decide who's A and who's B, and you're only going to open that doc. If you're A, you're going to open A. If you're B, you'll open B. And then the two of you will have 10 minutes to read through everything. And then we'll give you 15 minutes to negotiate through. And everything you need to know is on that doc. It's a single page. So just read through it and then start negotiating. After you guys kind of come to a resolution, we'll pull you all back in together and somebody is going to present what you guys came up with. So you're only going to read your A or your B, depending upon who or what you are. All right, Tom, if you've got, it looks like you've got them up there, throw them in some rooms.
got to see how many we have right now. So we'll have, gonna make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14. Gonna make 7 rooms.
And you can add rooms if you have to, right?
I think so.
Okay.
And you know,
Well,
I
for
don't
the-
count. Michael or
Yeah,
I don't count.
Right.
Yep.
So Catherine, Michael, Gary, Gina, and myself are co-hosts. We won't get automatically assigned to the room.
Hang on, Gary, did you want to be assigned in a room or did you want to be God?
I want to participate. I want to play.
Threw
All right.
Gary in a room.
Yeah,
Okay.
And Catherine, I just want to say, if it's okay if you're not any good at math, if you can't count, we can teach you that as part of being a realtor.
Eeny,
You'll
meeny,
learn
miny, mo.
3% of everything.
When you were saying that, Catherine, I was thinking, wait a second, that doesn't make sense.
I was talking about Tom's math, not mine.
There you go.
Yeah, throw Gary in. That would be a
Okay.
fun one.
And then if you guys finish before the 25 minutes are up, you'll have the option to come back to the main room. And we'll send out notification at 10 minutes and then a minute before we end. Right.
Okay,
so-
can I ask a question?
Yes.
So each group is negotiating in that group?
Yeah, when we did it with our meeting, we did groups. We're actually going to put only 2 people in each room.
And each person is negotiating one side and the other negotiating the other side.
There'll be an A and a B in each room.
Just clarifying that sort of question.
Yep, because we did it different from Morning Mastermind. We just did 2 groups.
So Gina, those of
Yeah.
us that in the mastermind, do you want us to do it again?
No, were you in that meeting too? You were, weren't
Yeah.
you?
Well,
Yeah.
Yes, God also. I forgot. Hey,
Yeah.
Bree.
Hey,
All right.
All right. So Catherine, it's assigning my co-host to a room. So let's see, Michael, you'll be in room 2 and you should be able to move out of it. Catherine, you're going to be in room 1. Gina, you're going to be in room 3. And so you guys can move back to the main room. And then I think I've got everybody else assigned to a room. So
Gina, is this one that you did on the Friday mastermind?
Yes.
I think I listened in on this, but I'll participate. I'm not sure.
Cool.
Okay. All right.
All right, Miss Attorney. That's a
Open in
good
the
one.
rooms. We'll see you guys in a little while.
Bye.
Mucking through this.
Well, there's some nuances because I just read Team A because I think that's what you, Rachel, and Gary were doing was Team A. Is that right?
One
I
year
was
was
Team A, he was Team B.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you were A and he was B. Oh, I see. So there was 2 different scripts or 2 different things
Yes.
for each person within each room.
Yep.
I got you. So they were trying to negotiate from their own point of view.
Yes.
Okay. Now that explains why I didn't quite understand why he had so much money or not enough or whatever. So because it says do not look at Team B instructions or ruining the game, and I had just scanned Team. I printed them out. I'm not a flash between screens kind of guy, so I was just trying to follow along. So
All right. Hey, we're back. Okay. Let's
Hello.
bring it on. Let's get some feedback. So who's going to present first? And then tell us what you were and tell us about your team and what you guys came up with. Give me a volunteer before I get a volunteer.
Inside Costco.
All right,
We're gonna go
Banana,
there
what do
soon.
you got?
Okay, so Liz and I were on the same team. And she was A and I was B. Y'all can hear me?
Yep.
So I read the instructions and what I noticed in here is that it says, mine said that we had a minimum of so much to buy per flower, and we were to get as many as we could, and to make sure that we have a good relationship and present solid so that in 3 years we can buy again. So what we decided to do, because it says in here that the minimum bid, we didn't have a budget. We didn't have a budget limit. And so because of that, I said there were 100 flowers that they sell. And so we decided to buy 50 each. That would give us the same amount of spend. And then in 3 years, we would still have a good relationship, present that as a united front, and then we could buy again in 3 years. And we both get 50 flowers apiece.
Love it. Love
Thanks.
it. Love it.
Thanks to my partner who knew how to do the math well, because I'm a words girl all day long and I could unpack that scenario, which was harrowing at this time of the night, I will say. But thanks to her math skills, we got there.
All right. So
The math was just reading what it said. Really. English is my first language and I taught English. So I just read what the speaker said. And it didn't say a budget, it says budget up to. It didn't say this was your budget.
So how much did you guys?
What is your actual bid?
Yeah, exactly. How much did you guys decide to bid?
We decided to bid what they were asking for, the 100,000 apiece, but that gave us 50 flowers each, and that was going to be a budget of $5 million for each of us.
That worked.
Okay.
Okay. Craig, you want to be on were you the spokesperson on your team?
Sure.
All right. What you got?
Well, I worked with Michael and he was part A, I was part B. We discussed both upper and lower end, and we too also just decided to split the flowers. Now, based on the desire to win the bid over other companies, we had chosen to spend $60 million for 100 flowers.
All right. All right. Cool beans. Who else is the spokesperson for their group? For A or B? Gare, you're muted, sweetie. What do you got?
Okay, well, I'm gathering we must have had somewhat different instructions because I was B and Rachel was A, and her budget was she could spend up to 500,000 per flower, but no aggregate maximum, whereas mine was an aggregate maximum of $1 million in total. I couldn't spend more than $1 million. So what that means is I could only buy 10 flowers with a minimum bid of 100,000. Okay. So we decided to buy 100 flowers, and for $10 million, I would kick in $1 million and get my 10, and Rachel would kick in $9 million and get her 90 flowers. And then we would have a joint bid, which is what the growers wanted. We had to bid together and work together. And that way everybody's happy, win-win. And 3 years later, we can go back and do the same thing.
Okay.
So,
all right. Who else was on a team that hasn't been represented yet that needs to represent? What do we? Thomas. Were you A or B?
A.
Okay. And what'd you guys come up with?
Well, I was the big pharma company, and we agreed to go well, in the beginning, they wanted to go 50-50, or I forgot the lady's name who I was with. I didn't catch it.
Biz.
It was Biz.
There's Biz. Yep.
Yes. Okay, sorry. And so she said she wanted 50 flowers. I said that, well, I need more flowers. What can I do to get some of your flowers? And I said, if you're able to put 100,000 each flower, and I can put it in that, I want to buy 20 more off of you at 250,000 and another 10 at 500,000 each. So she was really thinking about it, and it went all the way till time was up. And I was willing to even put in more at the end for a few more flowers, maybe $1 million each. But we didn't come to an exact resolution.
All right. All right. Who else hasn't been represented here that is gonna share their side?
I'll share.
All right, Craig, what you got?
Okay, so Gina was my partner. Well, she was, her and I were teamed up together. I thought a little bit too much into it, so we took a while. But what we came up with, so I had a budget up to $1 million per flower. The starting bid was $100,000 per flower. So we were gonna partner. Jenna was the big pharma company, is the big pharma company, I should say. And so she wanted to get her name out there, of her company out there. We were selling the wrinkle cream, the anti-wrinkle cream. So she wanted us to put the label on, put her company's name on our label to promote them. And then we would donate money to the cause, to their cause, and also donate 20 flowers to her company so that they would be able to make their own product. We didn't get to an exact number of flowers purchased, but hey, I want to purchase the whole 100. So that's kind of where we got cut off at.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right. Do we have anyone else who hasn't been represented yet? Do we got all of our teams covered? I think we got all of our teams covered. Am I right? Okay. Yeah.
This is Michael McGran. I was on Team A, and we kind of had some communication difficulties, but I guess something that we figured out was that the two companies use separate parts of the plant, and so they could actually share the plant together because they're using separate parts of the plant. And I guess we probably needed a little bit more information. I didn't understand if we were making a joint bid together. It didn't seem like there was competition, so we would just come in at the lowest amount possible, that 100,000 minimum bid, and split that 50-50, since we both need the plant, just separate pieces of the plant.
Ta-da! Beautiful. All right. Team A, somebody from Team A, read the first two sentences of the whole doc.
You work with big profit pharmaceutical company. Your company uses the Asian tigress lily stems to produce the drug Alex P. Keaton, a drug which cures 99.7% of all Parkinson patients. I have a friend that I grew up with, that was a roommate after college, that works for that foundation in New York.
Ah, that is cool. Okay, so who is the other team? Who's the wrinkle cream company? Someone from the wrinkle cream company. I can't remember if that's A or B. read your first couple sentences.
Okay.
There must be somebody in there. Gary, were you the wrinkle cream?
Yep. And
All right.
by the way, I want to admit something. I apologize on our partner, Rachel. I thought my budget was $1 million max because I saw budget, but it actually says 1 million per flower.
Yep. What's your first two sentences though, Gary?
First two sentences are, you work at once a Shar-Pei wrinkle removal company. Your company uses the Asian tiger lily petals
Bingo.
to produce the cream Kim Carr Cash Me In, a product which removes 95% of wrinkles due to aging and sun exposure.
We missed the whole thing, Gary.
All right. Any ahas? Like, oh, I see trickery down there. So, what did you guys like learn about your negotiation styles and all that kind of stuff? Like, let's get 2 points from everybody that you got out of this.
Ask more questions. What is it you really need? What part of the flower you really need? What part of this deal do you really need?
For me, it's
Know your product.
Go ahead, Craig. You go.
I was saying, know your product.
Ah,
Really know your product.
yeah, because you two were willing to sell like rights, like labeling rights, which was way cool. Yeah. Gary, what'd you get out of it?
Don't just focus on the numbers. That's what I was doing. I was focusing.
Exactly.
On the numbers. Yep.
Yeah, that's good too. That's very good too. All right. Other ahas you guys got out of this?
I'm going to echo Gary's and say I focused too much in the numbers on a win-win for both of us, the number area, and not
The terms.
totally glossed over the fact of digging deeper into what part of the plant they needed that we could potentially do more there.
I got an aha.
Yeah.
Let me throw out something a little different. We never got to the point of discussing different parts, and we both agreed on a certain amount, but our goal was actually to win the bid rather than to minimize the amount. So that's why we actually went, instead of splitting 50-50 and 50,000 per ones, we actually raised it to 60. So based on all the discussions here, we technically are the only ones that bought the flowers. Now, even though we are splitting them up and we could use the same parts, that actually is a win for both of us, because now we go, all right, well, we still won the bid. We got the 100 flowers. And instead of splitting them 50-50, each of us got the 100 each.
Yeah.
So
Love
we're
it.
actually twice in the bonus category.
Yeah. Ka-ching, ka-ching. It's awesome. Panetta, you had one too?
Yeah, I've done this game before and I still miss that part.
Is that an aha or is that an oh duh?
That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
That sounds like a haha.
So at my son's aerospace technology company, nobody got it. Not one person. And they spent 2 hours going through this game with everybody divided into groups. When I did it for the morning mastermind, nobody got it also. It was really fascinating. So it's way cool. Who are my two that got it? I know I have my two in it. Michael McGran and who's my other one that got it? Got the whole thing?
Sam.
Yep. Congratulations. Huge congratulations. So I was reading up a little bit on negotiations and some stuff on negotiations. And the whole point, the reason why it got me started, I'll give you guys two stories. The first story was Gary and I went to Orlando, and hang on, Shastine's not here, and a couple other people were with us. Anyway, they talked on stage about Stanford, and I know I mentioned this a time before, so I'll go back over this briefly, and then I'll leave you guys with another story also. They took a graduating class of Stanford, and they took the students and they said, look, we're going to give you guys a business project. Everybody in the whole in this class is going to get $5 and 2 hours. And we're going to divide you into 3 groups. And we're going to send you off in those groups. And 4 groups. We're going to divide you into 4 groups, and we're going to send you off. And then after the 2 hours, everybody's going to come back. Each one of your groups are going to present for 3 minutes. And then whoever's got the best idea is going to win. So the first group went out and they took their $5 and they bought everything for a lemonade stand. And then, they made some money in 2 hours, but they did not win. The second group went out and they pooled their money together and they bought all the stuff to wash cars. And so they made more money, but they presented their 3 minutes. They still did not win. The third group said the $5 is a red herring. That is not what is the most valuable part of this. The most valuable part of this is the 2 hours that we have. So they went and they bought reservations at all of the restaurants in the San Francisco area for dinner reservations and lunch reservations, all the restaurants that business people go and have their lunches and their business meetings at. They purchased them all, or they set them all, and then they turn around and they sold those reservations back. And so they made a pile of money, but they still did not win. The fourth group said, the red herring, $5 is a red herring. That doesn't matter. That's not the most valuable portion of this. That's not what we really have. That's not our true asset. 2 hours is also a red herring. That is not the most valuable asset in this higher negotiation business meeting idea that we have also. 3 minutes in front of a graduating class of Stanford, that is worth the most money. And so they contacted the companies that recruit directly out of Stanford and they sold the 3-minute talk. That's the group that won. When I heard that story from the stage, instantly we got to put up all of our questions that we could ask the speaker directly. And we're in a room. Gary, how many people were in that room? There was
Probably 400, 500, maybe something like that.
No, that was the big breakout room.
Oh.
Yeah, there was like, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
easily.
breakout room.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3,000 maybe. And the
Yep.
questions started going up on the board. And it was, how do I think like that? How do I think like that? How do I think like that? And that was my question too. How do I think like that? And I realized as I really started the process through that I need to think, and I need to break down all the components of what it is we really have instead of just looking at the issues to make the most money possible. Okay, we know that, we know the goal, but then what are your assets? And that's the part I realize I don't take enough time to really break it down into the different components. In this case, the $5, the 2 hours, the 3 minutes, and really look at the thing that you're probably just glossing over, but there's probably something gold in there. So that's my first story. And then my second story is there was a wise old man that was writing up his will. And so he wrote up his will and he was going to leave his camels, all of his camels. He had 17 camels and he wanted to leave them to his 3 boys. And so he wrote in his will that the eldest boy was to get half of the camels and the middle boy was to get 1/3 of the camels. I want to make sure I have this right. Yep. And the youngest boy was to get 1/9 of the camels. And so when they passed away and they read the will and the sons got this, they said, we have 17 camels. There is no way to divide 17 in half, in 1/3, or in 9ths. And so the fighting began. And it began and it continued and continued and continued and continued until finally one of the boys said, let's go find the wisest man that there is. And so they went and found the wisest man in town. And the wisest man in town said, piece of cake, I'm going to bring you my camel. And so as soon as he brought the camel, they now had 18 camels. And once they had 18 camels, half of them went to the eldest, that's 9 camels. 1/3 of them went to the middle, that's 6 camels. And 1/9 of them went to the youngest, that's 2 camels. When you take 9 plus 6 plus 2, it equals 17. And the old man took his camel back and went back. The wise man took his camel back. And I think the secret for us in real estate is to find our true assets when we negotiate and to find the 18th camel. It's in there somewhere. So there you guys go. Anything else or any other ahas or anything you want to add into this?
Yep, always read instructions twice.
I read it 3 times.
I was going to say I did that, Gary. Still didn't work. And you know what's so funny is when I read it the first time, I remember saying, they just need the pedals. And then I still lost it. Forgot.
Lost. Yep. Yeah.
That story.
I didn't know that they needed just the flour.
That story, what, Vanetta?
I was going to say that story that you just told. I think I would have given the youngest one his first.
Out of 17, how are you going to divide by 9?
No. The youngest one, the last one.
Yeah.
I would have given him his, what was it, 1/9?
1/9. Yep.
So 1/9 of, I don't know, 1/9 of 17. How do you do that?
Exactly.
And into 17, huh?
Exactly. Because it doesn't divide. 1/9 doesn't divide. I had to do this twice. I'm like, I'm still looking for the math.
That would have been 1.25 of a pound. That wouldn't have quite worked.
Yeah, what quarter do you want?
The delicious part.
There you go.
I think it all comes down to in our line of work is to ask questions. When you get an answer, think about that for a minute, and then ask a question related to that. And we learn to do that, but sometimes we get caught up in what? In the money, because we're a sales business. So we're out to get the most money for our sellers and out to save the most money or get the best house we can for the money that our buyers have. So that's what we concentrate on. When in reality, it may not always be the money. Maybe that seller doesn't need a full price offer. What he needs to stay in the house an extra 2 weeks after it sells, or something of that nature. So it's not always, the detail is not always in the money. It's in the details where the devil lies a lot of times, as they say. The devil is in the details. I think we overthink things a lot.
So I'm going to make a comment. I'm going to make a comment, Robert. And I ask questions of my partner, what does she need? And this is equivalent to what happens even to us in real life. Sometimes your client doesn't tell you what they need. You have to figure it out. Like she didn't say, I need the stems. So I asked the question. I think we ask questions, but sometimes we have to figure out what they're not telling us.
You have to probe. That's where probing comes in. So, and it's like when you said you realized, Bonetta, that what you needed, and then something happened, you received some interference someplace. And when we have interference in our communications, it throws us off. You knew what you needed, but something came about to make you forget that you needed that, or to move on to something which at that time you thought was more powerful or more needed.
Yes.
Maybe it was the dollar.
She was focused on her budget, thinking she only had $500,000 to spend. And I said, that's not what it says. So then I started to work where she was. I went over to what she was concentrating on, and that was how much her budget was. And I knew that you don't have a budget.
Yeah, the whole deal with negotiation, and I'm not necessarily a good negotiator, but it's about finding mutual ground. It's about trying as best you can to satisfy everybody's needs. Are you always going to be able to do that? Certainly not. You have to have it come to a happy medium, as they say.
Yeah.
Something where it's a win-win or no deal, as they say with the red-suited people. So that was my observation, and I only read and I was listening to Gary, and Gary was like, I've only got $1 million, and I wanted to say something, but it wasn't my place to say anything. And I'm thinking, no, Gary, that's not right, So
yeah, but going back to the original one, they really came back and said very plainly that you're not working against A or B. A and B is putting in the combined bid.
Right.
So it's actually irrelevant because we didn't have to come up with a certain amount of doses. We didn't have to come up with certain budgets. As long as we stayed under the value, we were actually working together to actually come up with a bid, because if you didn't have a bid, you were thrown out of the equation. If you bid too low, you could also be kicked out of the two companies would be kicked out of the negotiation process. So we weren't actually negotiating between A and B. We're actually just working together to have a common bid and get it submitted.
Right.
And then hopefully achieve the winning bid. So it was actually irrelevant as long as we didn't overspend, and regardless even of the count of flowers, it was actually working so that A and B worked together to submit a bid.
Mhm.
And see, when I did it with Michael Ussery and Brianna and Nellie, I think was there, I kept wanting to make sure that we got those flowers the next time they were available too.
That's right. You fought really hard for the rights in 3 years.
Yep.
Huh?
It didn't work, but I did. I was like, I want to make sure we get that next 3 years too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of moving components in this. There really, really was.
Well,
Yeah.
my point was understanding that it wasn't actually a competition between A and B.
No,
Nope, not this. It was this.
right.
Right,
Yeah.
but how often as
Yep.
agents do we think that we're in competition with the other side? When we
Oh,
all
yeah.
want the same thing. We all want what's best for our clients. And
Yeah.
you know what? I want my seller to be happy. Hopefully they get the money they want, but it's more important, I think, this day and age to have peace of mind that they don't have that to worry about anymore.
Well, A and B were not the buyer and seller. A and B were just the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The
Yeah.
seller was the Chinese government. So there was no distinction about, I have to get the best advantage over B or over A. It was, no, we're both on the same team that we're submitting, and then we have to outbid whoever potential comes up.
Yep.
So it's kind of like whatever the housing market today, where you go, how much under or overbid do I want to submit as a combined offer,
Mhm.
not from a single party,
Right.
because they didn't give us any other criteria about the detail of what would be the won or lost.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Hmm.
I know this is probably going to go down a rabbit hole if we allow it, but I was thinking about Ronald Reagan. He was the great communicator, and he's the one president in our lifetime that both Democrats and Republicans will reflect fondly upon, mostly, right? But he was known for bridging the aisle. That means crossing the aisle from the left to the right to get people to agree on things. And his philosophy was, I'd rather get a partial win of something
Mhm.
than of not all of nothing, because that's what happens. And you guys see it on the news. It's ridiculous. They can't get anything done. And here we are, we're the United States, we've got China and Russia and stuff going, and yet we can't even follow the rules of this game we're talking about here. Like, we're on the same team, just like in real estate negotiating. You ever have the agent on the other phone that's like, clearly they're trying to be the hero for their client, and like they're good and you're bad, and get it their way, you're not going to get it stuff. And I'm like, are you serious? Just look, does your client want to sell? If they want to sell, I'm sure you'd like a commission. My client would like to buy, and I'd like a commission too. Let's make that happen. You and I work together to make this happen. But I'm sure most people are pretty good out there. Most agents I've come across, usually you can work with them, but there's a couple. Anybody ever had those guys before?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you remember.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to build rapport before you even submit the offer. Is call and inquire and make nice, and so that when they get your offer, oh yeah, that's Bonetta. We talked, and and I like to work with her. And then make sure the daggone contract is tight. Don't leave them stupid blank spaces at the bottom of the contract where they don't want to fill in the other person's information. That's a pet peeve of mine. You think? Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine. I've told, when I'm on the listing side, I said, if you submit it without this being completed, it will not be considered.
Yeah.
Yeah, a nice tight contract shows your professionalism, and so it does.
Absolutely. I've had people say to me, Bonetta, I liked your contract. It was clear, it was concise, and it was all the information was there. I really want to work with you.
Mhm.
Now, sometimes we didn't get the bid, but I really want to work with you. And I was it's because they looked at how neat and clean and tight the contract was.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right that we are all on the same team. And sometimes I used to tell my clients all the time, I'm like, somebody thinks that their job is to throw a monkey wrench into the entire thing. I don't know who it is, but we will find them and we will take them out. And then when something would happen, I would go, you found the monkey wrencher. And then they go, oh yeah. And I'm like, on it. And I'm like, and I would also tell my clients, because especially as a buyer, it doesn't feel like to them, like anybody wants them to really have the house, because they don't understand that the loan officer is going to ask them for everything over again 2 days before closing. And it, and it just feels like brick wall after brick wall, and they don't understand the process. And so it would help. I would set them down and I'm like, trust me, everybody wants to get paid. You want a house? We all want to get paid. We're all working together, even though it doesn't seem like it. Sometimes we really, really are. And it's on your behalf. And, smoothing that out again, because they don't see. And just like Craig, just like you said, we're on the same team. We really are. Everybody wants this thing to happen. And it just works a lot better when we play that way.
So
And
I have an aha.
Yeah.
The next time I have a challenging listing side agent that I'm working with, or vice versa, I want to ask them, we're on the same, we both want the same thing. Now we can do, your client wants to sell, right? I think I want to incorporate that into the discussion. I mean, that doesn't, like Gary said, it doesn't happen often. You don't have, most people, it's a win-win. But every now and again, you get one of those.
Yep.
I had one recently.
I had a D personality, Gina. I had to have a
I love language at this point.
I had to come to Jesus talk with her. I told her she need to back off because I'm an I all day. She need to back off. And that doesn't work for me. I would like to have this conversation in a nice, friendly way. We're both on the same side, trying to accomplish the same thing. Let's do it reasonably or together.
I had a doctor's house I listed one time, and it was the first, I was moving up a price point, a huge price point actually. And so I listed his house, but during the interview process, he said, "No, I want to know how you negotiate." I said, "Well, I tell the truth." And he goes, no, I want to know how you negotiate. I'm like, "I tell the truth." Like, how does that work? And I'm like, "It just does." And sure enough, it came to our negotiating for the house, and I don't remember what was up, but I'm like, "That's not going to work. And here's why. They need da 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 da, and we need to have this." And I told the truth. Now, that doesn't mean I didn't present it in such a way and I didn't protect my client, because I did, but I also told the truth.
Absolutely.
And then when we did it, and he watched me do it, he's like, "You really do tell the truth." I told you, I tell the truth. It's my negotiation style. I tell the truth. Now, that's not to say I don't use, like, I stop talking, I shut up. I'll say that isn't going to work. I'll look for what it is that you want to try and structure it. What is it that you need out of this, and try and structure it. But basically, I will tell the truth. And there you go. That's my negotiation style. So out of this conversation, or out of this, what is helpful, I thought, is to kind of go through and figure out your negotiation style and what really works for you, and really hone that down, because we all are on the same team and we all want to make it happen. And I hope that this illuminated the importance of really digging in. Like Craig said, we're on the same team. Like Gary said, it's not about the math. Like Benetta said, that she wants to build other parts in. Like Kathy, who saw the long term and wanted to see the 3 years. That's what I really, really hoped would happen, is that it would kind of open us up to what it is that we do and how we do it, so that we can just go out there and go sell more houses. So there you go.
So what resources do you have for us to learn more about how to negotiate better?
That is a really good question. So there's a book out there that I know, oh gosh, I will find the title of it. There's a book out there that is like 101 negotiation techniques, and it just gives you the definition of what they all are. I'll see if I can find that. Like, for instance, nibbling. Nibbling is where you keep on asking for little teeny tiny things, and you just keep on eating away and eating away and eating away until you get the big picture of everything you want. There is the reduce to the ridiculous. So, Mr. Buyer, I know that you don't want to offer the 10K that I'm telling you you're going to need to offer for that, but if you break that down over 30 years, that really works out to like $6 a day, or whatever the math works out to be, which is pretty much the cost of a latte. Here, let me buy your first latte. And you just reduce it all the way down to, that works out to so much a month, so much a year, so much a month, so much a day, so much a week. And then so much a day. So there's that. There is, I need you to think like a buyer. I need you to think like a seller. So it's a whole book on those. And then there's another one that's called, Never Split the Difference is another one.
Yeah, I've seen that one around.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find that one, what the title is on that 101 negotiation. Gary, does that ring a bell to you?
Yeah, there's another one, actually, a friend of mine, and you'll hear him on our podcast coming up in a couple of months. His name's Mark Yegge, Yegge. He wrote a really good book on negotiating. He was in my mastermind group a couple of years back, and he's also, by the way, I would Google him. He's like really good with the stock market and all that stuff, financial. He just
How do you spell his last name, Gary?
Yegge.
Y-E.
Michael, first name?
Mark Yegge.
Mark.
Let me put that in the chat box. He runs like he owns and runs 3 hedge funds.
Wow.
3.
Yeah, he started investing when he was 12 years old.
I did too, but it was in like fishing worms.
What's that?
I said I did too, but it was in like fishing worms.
Oh,
That's hilarious.
He started buying
Hold them
stocks.
until you go fishing.
Yeah, he's a pretty neat guy. Travels all over the world and
Can't find it.
pretty good. So I definitely recommend that one. And I've seen some others over the years. Unfortunately, guys, my library is still in boxes. But I've got a couple books that's the only one I'm recalling right now. So, and the one Gina mentioned, Don't Never Split the Difference, you know. So, but you know who?
Yeah, go ahead.
Dale Carnegie has all kinds of great books, and I'm sure that's a subject that some of his books cover, you know.
He is a good classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever been to the Nightingale Conant website?
I do know about that. That's a great website.
That is a huge resource for
What is
all
that?
kinds of learning materials. Yeah,
I didn't.
Nightingale Conant. It's, I think, Konant. I think if you just type it in, it'll pop up. But all the great lessons are on there. I mean, every Tony Robbins. Who's the boy? I'm drawing a blank here. But in any case, they're all on there. And
Earl Nightingale is the one.
He's the
Yeah.
main dude. Yep.
Yep.
He started it.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think.
Of diamonds.
Acres of Diamonds, bunches of it.
But it's Carnegie, but it's not the How to Win Friends. It's not Dale. It's the oh my gosh, Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill. Oh yeah, that'll
That's
be
what I'm trying to think of. Yeah.
Now I had the guy's name and I lost it right off the tip of my tongue.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's in my car, by the way, too. The whole dispatch. But in any case, Nightingale Conant guys, over the years, I probably invested more money in learning material from that site than any other, not even hands down. So, yeah.
It is. It's full of the great classics. There's some other classics. They're just rock solid good.
Yeah, Brian Tracy's also another good author.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Jim Ron was who I'm thinking of. Jim Ron.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, he's good. He's so good.
I'll tell you another person is actually my dad.
Rom.
Jim
R-O-H-N.
Yep.
R-O-H-M.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then like Nessie. Yeah. Your dad was good?
He did a lot of negotiating with foreign countries. When he retired from the military, he was in what's called senior executive services. He ended up being one of the deputy secretaries of defense. And I didn't know a lot of this till just last couple of years, but when Russia broke down and all those countries split apart and a lot of the Baltics became part of NATO, he was directly involved with all that. So we've got all these boxes of plaques and things that he was earned as a result of all that. And one of them was Slovenia, when they were negotiating to be able to be a democracy and have free elections and all that. That treaty was actually signed on our dining room table. But the thing I remember was, in all those years, I never ever saw my dad lose his cool, ever. He stayed calm through everything, thick and thin. I mean, just the stuff we kids did. I mean, I don't know how he is, just an amazing. But staying calm, keeping a cool head is really important,
That's so good. I wrote down, hang on, I wrote this down. It is plan, be prepared to walk away. Emotions, don't like, don't have them. Just like they got to stay out of it. Listen, do not walk in with overconfidence, because overconfidence will cause you to not plan. And the first thing you need to do is plan. And then anchor, which is your starting point. So maybe it is the price, maybe it's something else, but you need to anchor what you're negotiating about. So that starts with that. Is that yeah, those are my notes that I came out of this. So plan, be prepared to walk away, keep your emotions out of it, listen, basically, and shut up. A lot of times it's just shut up. Overconfidence, don't have it, and anchor is where you're starting with. Find your 18th camel. Some negotiation techniques. There's a nibble, like we talked about, reduce to the ridiculous. This is normal. I used to use that all the time. If something would happen and somebody be all like, and I'm like, this is normal. It's normal? Yeah, it's normal. And it's just this very calming word. Like they realize, like, you're freaking out over nothing, honey. Calm down. This is normal. This is how it's done is another way of saying it. This is how it's done, this process. Think like a buyer, think like a seller. When you've got a seller who is kind of going a little half-cocked, and by the way, if our sellers or our buyers are going half-cocked, that's our fault. It's not theirs. It's an emotional process. It's our fault. We need to get them back under control again. So if I get a seller going off kind of half crazy, maybe they're indignant at the offer. You guys ever had that? Like, I'm just indignant and I'm not even gonna, it's like, I need you to think like, yes, I'm insulted.
Don't be insulted.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna. Exactly. Yeah. Mr. Seller, I need you to think like a buyer right now. You're probably doing that already. You're probably on to get them to think like a buyer. Mr. Buyer, I need you to think like a seller. And it just helps to get them out of their own head into somebody else's head so that you can get them back in an empathetic place. Shut up, appeal to a higher authority. So negotiate through, and then, I really got to check with my husband before I go any further. And that's a great one to be able to appeal to a higher authority. One that I used to get once in a while, it took me forever to learn how to figure it out. Remember, have you ever gotten this, y'all, where okay, so this is all great and I need to pray. And I'm like, how do I answer to that? And I finally just said, you know what? I'm probably your answer to prayer. And then we continue going. What's another one? Love to, can't, and then continue on. That's another one for negotiation. And this isn't good enough. This isn't going to work. Getting past no, Kathy. Nice. Thank you. It is another good one. So this isn't going to work is another one. Or that's not going to work for my seller. That's not going to work for my buyer is another one that we used to use. So those are some of the things that we used to do or I used to use. And that was just literally off the top of my head. All right, you guys. Gary, is there anything else that you guys want to say? And then we'll have Gary close us out because he's so good at that.
Can I just say something?
Of course you can, sweetheart.
Yeah, so I love the hair color.
Thank you.
For one. But I like what you said about telling the truth. I don't consider myself a great negotiator by, a long shot, but I always pride myself in telling the truth. So I appreciate you saying that because that gives me some ammo. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. It was one of my things I hated doing, calling around and going, I have a buyer. And I don't really have a buyer. I always felt like you can't say that. I can say, there's no other houses for sale in your neighborhood. If you thought about selling, I can say that all day long. But I can't just go, I've got a buyer. Can I go get a buyer? Yeah, all I got to do is list your house. I'll have 20 of them. But yeah. So thank you, Craig. I appreciate that. You're a sweetheart.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Craig, because I know a lot of us struggle with that, especially we're in a sales business, we're in a real estate industry, and it's very emotional. Owners are trying to buy and sell their homes they're going to live in, and investors are trying to make money. And quite often things don't go right. Things get missed, there's errors, stuff happens. And I can't tell how many times people have come to me and saying, well, should we say this? Can we say that? And can we like twist and turns? And I'm always like, the best thing you can do is actually just tell the truth, because number one is it's going to come out eventually anyways, right? The other thing too is when you do that, it totally disarms the other person. Then it's like you just took all their ammo away. You know? So it is the quickest way to get the resolution, and it's easier to get buy-in that way. It's hard sometimes. Nobody wants to eat humble pie, but you know, you make enough mistakes in life, you realize we're all human and everybody does it. And as soon as you can come to that acceptance, it's easier to just come up and say, you know what, I messed up. You know, I missed this, I missed that, or whatever. Or, you know, the market changed, interest rates went up. You know, there's this, just get it out there as fast as you can, and you get closer to resolution more quickly. So, yep. So in any case, I do want to, so next week, Michael Ussery is going to talk about how he uses Land Voice and Mojo Dollar together. And I asked him to please share screens, go over scripting, things like that with you. So please be on that. It's a critical meeting to be on because he's successful, you know. And over the pillars between, you know, mid-July and end of August, it's the letter, the booklet, you know, having your own workshop or joining another one, local investor club, and being on the phone with your people. That's the business right there. If you did those 4 things, I'm telling you, you're not only going to survive, you're going to thrive. And there's plenty of examples just here in this room right now, but on the team, it's really picking up, guys. I mean, if you know, I wish you could all see each other's numbers out there in your SkySlope accounts, because things are actually picking up just in the last week from us getting down to focusing on the fundamentals. And it's true with anything, whether it's, you know, sports, military, including business. I mean, one of my favorite stories is you know, Michael Jordan and Larry Bird. You know, if you guys are basketball fans, just study those 2 guys. You know, they're 2 of the greatest. And they both said when they were interviewed after the retirement, you know, they said my daily routine revolved me dribbling 3,000 times, passing the ball 2,000 times, and shooting the ball 1,000 times every single day. So same thing with karate. Has anybody ever studied karate before? Yep. The black belt studies the same exact thing as the white belt. He just did it 10 million times, 10,000 times, you know? So keep that in mind. It's easy to get distracted with all this other stuff out there. And I know it because I'm part of it too. And I'm guilty for bringing all these things in, but it's only to give people choices. I want you to know that I'm never expected to do more than 3 things at one time, you know, 3 marketing campaigns. If I bring in something new and it sounds great, you know, and you're already doing 3 things, let's have a call. Let's just go over in a call. Let's see, how does this compare to these other 3 you're doing? What's the upside potential and the downside risk? That's always the equation. But in any case, I'm just proud of you guys for doing what you're doing. Oh, Benetta.
Yes.
KV Core. Remember today in our one-on-one?
Yeah.
So what can you?
I didn't forget. I was just waiting for you to finish, but I was going to say it before we got off.
Okay, take us home, sister.
So, you know, I love KV Core, and I've been studying it since I came over a year ago. And so even though I've studied and taught myself KV Core, I looked at something this weekend that I hadn't looked at, and that was the Agent Success Story or Agent Success Plan. And even with that, I found that they had recommended that you separate your sphere into different pockets, and that you, what was it? Oh, they recommended that you do certain things to your sphere so to stay in touch. So one of the things that they recommended was, and I've done this for a few of my sphere, but I hadn't done it for everybody, and that was to send them the market report. So I went through all the friends and family, and I sent them all the market report. One of the things I like about KV Core, and I've used a lot of CRMs. I've used Salesforce, just about you name it, exact something, Zoho, for different businesses I've been in over the years. And Realty Juggler, Command, Edge, you name it, I probably tried it. But KV Core, by none, is the best CRM I've ever tried. Because when you send these campaigns go out, the people really think that it's you sending it, and they responded back. So I set up all these people last night in the middle of the night. I'm on the computer, setting them up. I got 2 responses today. One of them said, Bonetta, thank you so much for sending me the market report because it lets me know what my house is doing in my market. I really appreciate that. And anybody who I know who wants to buy real estate, I'm going to recommend you. Well, it doesn't get any better than that. That was true. So it works. I say all of this say it really, really works.
Yeah.
I love it. By the way, I had can I go for 1 second, Gary?
Yep.
I had Bev, Gary told me to read a Facebook post by Jay Kinder and I read it and I'm like, this is gold.
Sure.
And I sent that out. I had Bev send it out to everybody.
Mhm.
Read it, stay on top of the market. If you've got listings, you need to set aside a couple minutes every single week, like on a Monday, and pull the numbers and just pull and stay on top of those listings, especially as some of you all are moving into down markets. I know Rob, you and I talked briefly, it's going into a down market in your area. I know Nashville, and I talked to somebody also in, oh, I can't remember where it was somewhere else, that we're seeing it even in Nashville. Anyway, so read that article that came out from Bev today. It's about watching your pending rates. And then every single week, stay on top of it, especially if you've got listings, and get that information to your sellers. Look at days on market, which is a lag, and then look at your pending ratio, which is a lead. Okay, so the way the pending ratio works, think of if you have 100 houses listed active and your pending ratio, you've got 80 pending, that's an 80% pending rate. If the next week you've got 100 houses listed and only 67 of them are pending, it's a 67% pending rate. Your pending rate went down, which means there's more inventory. So it's a faster judge of the market than a days on market search is going to give you, because days on market shows from when it went to that pending, and you can see it more lag, but this pending ratio is going to show you that much quicker. So does that make sense on how to look and judge a pending ratio? Just start watching that and get the information to your sellers when you've got your listings every week. Just stay on top of it. Every week they need a market report. Cool. Okay, that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
So Gary, can I add one thing? We don't do these masterminds, and one of the things I'm working on right now is, Braden set several of us up on this internet Facebook ads, and so I'm trying to develop and I know if I'm trying to do it, everybody else has probably thought about it, so I'm putting it out there. I'd like to have a mastermind as to what people's follow-up strategy is for internet leads, because I don't have one. I get leads coming in, and we have that little thing that Braden set it up for campaign of like a few days, but after that, I'd like to have to see what I'm trying to develop a 12-step process strategy of how to convert those leads from leads to buyers and what people are doing.
Hey, Bonetta,
Not tonight, but to think about it. Yeah, I'm listening.
can you funnel your people into your class on home buyers from there to help educate them and kind of move them forward?
I could, but I kind of put that on pause because I'm getting more leads for less with these Facebook ads than it was for me to host my webinar every month.
Okay.
So
I just maybe thought that might build your ratio. You got them coming in, and then
I want to know, I want a step-by-step process to know what people are doing to convert those leads, what strategy they're using, what steps are they employing. I mean, it's some food for thought. If we could, maybe Gary, some of these sessions, we can maybe have a point where we could ask what people are working on, what they need help with, because that's what I really would like some help with.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we actually the intention of one meeting a month is to do just that.
Okay.
It's just like, have basically open mic, but I will tell you, so everybody remember this, if you think of marketing as centrifugal circles, like the inner circle is you're speaking to people on the phone, it's one-on-one contact. Outside of that, then it's like texting. Outside of that, it's emails. Outside of that is basically things like Facebook and LinkedIn. So what happens is all those outer layers reach out into the universe and are designed to bring people out of the universe into your inner circle. That means you've got to add them into the next inner circle. In other words, if you find somebody on Facebook, Vanetta, once you get that conversation going, ask them, hey, would you mind if I sent you some information in email? Get their email address, get them in on KV Core, then you just all of a sudden made available all of the EXP campaigns and all the GIA Team campaigns that are loaded up and you can clone. So some of the EXP campaigns are year-long campaigns. So you want to think about the person, the personality, how you know them, things like that, and really listen, and then you'll know which marketing campaign will be best. But that's the key. You want to get them moving more into the inner circles gradually. Sometimes it takes 3 years, sometimes it takes 3 months, sometimes it takes 3 minutes. But that's the key. Bring them to the next inner circle, and keep doing that until you have one-on-one communication and you're actually showing them properties or listening at home.
So they're already going into KV Core from Facebook, but they don't always want a phone call. So I don't get to know what their personality is like. And some of them respond and some of them don't. The other thing is that I found in KV Core, sometimes they're asking questions or saying things that are true, like, oh, thank you for going on my website, when I know they haven't gone on there. So I asked somebody today, I found a year-long buyer campaign, but it was for investors. It wasn't for regular buyers. So I called KV Core today and I said, I want a monthly nurture, something general. And so the lady said she was going to look into it and call me back, because KV Core sometimes, like I said, it's asking stuff or saying stuff that
I know what you're saying.
happened, and people saying, Vanetta, maybe somebody cloned or went in and did something, and you said I looked at your website. I didn't look at your website. So again, I'm trying to develop my own. So I'm asking the best what other people have done, and then I'm going to create my own 12 steps. So I want to know what best things that everybody else is doing. And then
on those campaigns in the XP, you should be able to edit those. So if you can edit them, then you can, if you don't want it to say thanks for visiting my website, when you know for a fact they haven't, just come up with something else. Have you visited my website? It's a great opportunity to search on your own, do something like this, and that way you can create your own campaign, and then you can save it.
Yeah, that's general. Again, I'm trying to get what you all are actually doing that's working, so I can create my own strategy.
Yeah, you're looking for a follow-up plan. You're looking for best practices follow-up plan.
Exactly.
Well, the lead comes in, you call immediately within 3 seconds. And then it goes to this, right? But then step 2, it does this, step 3. And it's like Gary said, you're bringing them into the funnel, and you're looking for those 12 steps so it just happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Just the process that happens.
Right.
Yeah.
This was specifically, this was a Facebook lead?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
Facebook's different. And I'll tell you from experience, guys, I've had people on Facebook, I could put out this real how's the weather type stuff, get all kinds of responses from people directly. I would do private messaging. But boy, as soon as I went to that next step where it was a little more personal or a little more direct as far as this, all of a sudden it's like, yeah. So Facebook in the beginning is easier to attract people in those outer layers,
right,
but it's been more difficult to get them to the inner layers. Whereas like texting had a much higher success rate of getting them into the inner layers, So what you might want to consider is, they're okay on Facebook. Do ask them, say, look, do you invest? You ever bought a rental? You ever bought a flip? That kind of stuff. And then create a booklet. Remember, you can have multiple booklets, one on flipping, one on rentals, and one just for owner occupants. Like you can say, look, I'm not, you don't have to be apologetic. Just say, I'm going to send you something I think will be helpful. What's more important to you? Your own home, a flip or a rental, or if and find out. If you really got to ask questions and try to, here's something to remember. You can't go wrong with asking the who, what, where, when, how, why questions, because our open-ended questions require open-ended answers. You can't just answer yes or no. And it puts in a position to talk. And that means you can listen and just look for those keywords. And you can also determine by the way, a person's disc profile pretty easily by the words they use. You know, if they're always saying things like, if it's short sentences, they don't complete sentences, they don't use punctuation. You know, it's like call me now, call me tomorrow morning. Boom, boom, boom. They're probably a high D. You know.
A D.
Yep. So, but if they're real methodical and everything's T's crossed, I's dotted,
I see.
long messages,
I
a
see.
lot of detail, they're probably going to be sort of like a C, you know. And if it's an I, it's going to be real, you know, fun, flowery, flamboyant.
Sorry,
You
yeah.
know,
Emoticons.
What did you say?
Emoticons.
yeah, emoticons. Yep. So,
Yep.
Emoticons, I don't know what that is.
so when you're trying to learn as much as you can about them, because for me, I'm gonna promote the booklet again here. I'm telling you guys, it's one of the most versatile, customizable tools you can ever have. And because we can save those files on Google Drive and get a link, we don't even have to spend a dime putting those things out there in the mail. You can have one set of booklets for owner occupants, one for flippers, one for landlords. Keep those things current. And when you ask people questions, if you've already had a conversation with them, they'll generally answer you. Now, I'm not saying always. I can tell you the generation that's like in their late 20s, just starting into the early 30s, to them, not answering a text message is considered acceptable. They're telling you, they're just not going to get back to your message right now, or maybe even ever. And I've noticed that not just in my daughter, but other friends of mine whose children are around 30 years old. But that's their normal. So I used to get bent out of shape. I'm like, why in the heck aren't they answering me? That's how rude, So, and they laugh. They're like, they don't even. Well, why are you getting so upset? So because we're used to people, two-way communication, but to them, not answering is a form of answering. So you just got to think about the demographics, the social graphics, and the psychographics. Short layman's terms is ask the who, what, where, when, why, how questions, and then pay attention. And you'd be surprised at how many notes. If you could talk to Beverly and ask her how many notes do we have on our contact records, and she'll tell you they were pretty thorough. We knew a lot about our people, but we had a really great following. When I was in production, we had a lot of repeat business. I mean, it was investors, but we knew everything about them. And so when I had a conversation, it was easy to rebuild rapport. I didn't have to worry or sweat or make stuff up. It was, I knew they probably had just gone to the kids' soccer game the night before, or, the last time they bought a flip, or the last time they kicked out a tenant or whatever. I mean, all that stuff we knew,
This is the case, Gary, where people they're not talking to you. They want to communicate by text or email. Yeah. So this is why I'm asking. And again, I'm not expecting an answer tonight, but if you all could think about it and maybe sometime send me an email or something, just tell me what your best practice, what has helped you all to convert. I'm just looking to mastermind and to know.
Yeah. Here's my 2 cents on Facebook. When you've got someone on Facebook, if you can friend them, follow them, whatever, just like their stuff for a few days, comment on their stuff, and it helps to get it warmed up a little bit before you actually so we would go through, and for like a week, we would just like everything that they do.
Okay.
And then if they won't, especially if they won't accept my friend request, fine. I'll go find you anyway, and I'm just going to like your stuff. And then after I like your stuff, then I might comment a little bit, but it's a slow move. And then I would comment for a little while. And then I would go through and maybe toss a friend request back out there again, and then ask a question.
Gotcha.
But it was that, because I don't know about you all, but I know that when I was on Facebook a lot, the first thing we always did was how many likes do I have and how many comments do I have? And my husband and I did, oh God, we're so competitive. First off, we went through and amassed as many friends as we could as quickly as possible, and we tracked that. This is back when Facebook was brand new. And then second, it was how many likes. And it just still works. If like, comment, and then I can start asking you questions. It's like I'm warm now. Another trick we use, Gary, a lot, because I keep notes on everybody also. So I'll call somebody up, and if they don't remember me, I will literally, they're like, I don't remember you. I will tell them about them. I'm like, yeah, you said that you guys were this and you guys were that, and you've been in real estate this long, you've been that, and they're like, oh, I totally remember you. And I'm like, never said a word about me. Not one, you know?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did that in my notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you. That's my 2 cents.
Hey, but that is something else is that person, go on to their Facebook page and look at their posts.
Stalk them.
Posting their pictures, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nicely.
Stalk. That'll tell you what they're interested in, what their interests lie, and you can kind of remember match and mirror. Remember
Yeah.
match and mirror? Yep.
Yeah.
So,
These are good ideas that I didn't have on my own.
mhm. Yep.
All right.
All
Hey,
right, thank you.
And Danetta, I heard you say that you didn't know a few minutes ago, you didn't know what the emoticons were.
Yeah, what is that?
It's a term it's like a hybrid of emotive or emotion icon. It's just a little kissy face, hearts and the smiley faces, winking and things like that. The emojis,
Oh, the
the emotional icons,
They
emoticons. It's just another term for that.
she combined an emoticon. I know what an emoji is. Oh,
Yeah, it's an emoji, emoticon,
Oh,
basically the same thing, interchangeable term.
got you. Okay, thank you.
I was gonna say, look in the chat box. I just stuck something there. I didn't know what it is, but there's a smiley something or something there.
Yeah,
Right.
I know what emojis are. Yes, okay, I got it. Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. Hey, all have, are we ready to close out?
Let's just say the two more things. One more thing is, it really is like dancing. That's not just for men, but everybody. It's at there's a certain level, you just have to develop your instinct for the game. You got to develop you can be in the flow. Listen, if they go left, you go right, that kind of thing. And the other thing I want to say is thank you, Gina, for doing this night, this class on negotiation. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys hugely, and thank you for giving me trusting me to do it. And I'm dead serious, y'all. It's not thinking me. You really should be thinking Tom Z, because they spent massive time to figure it all out and make it all work. So there's a lot of moving parts. So huge thank you to you, Tom. Huge.
Behind every hero is a superhero.
Yes, and Tom has a red cape. I get the boots.
Yeah.
So just saying, y'all. Hey, I gotta be on a flight. I'm out all day tomorrow, like 6.5 hours across. And then the following Tuesday again, 6.5 hours back.